everybody, and welcome back to Koi Pond Lifestyle. So what have we got on today? Right, update this week on the Lernex Pro that I put in for my fluke issues. If you remember back, we had Fluke M, tried the Fluke M, that just wasn't cutting the mustard. We had the Fluke S, which I believe is the powdered version of the Fluke Solve. Now with the Fluke Solve, I hear that there's a Fluke Solve Plus. So I don't know if any of you experienced Fluke Solve Plus and you've got some recommendations, or it was good for you, it wasn't good, or however when it went, then please comment below. Lernex Pro was the product that we put in last, and that would have been, this is day 4 of putting the Lernex Pro in. So how's it going? Interesting. Some of the fish are looking better since I put that in. Gary, unfortunately, my goshki, is still not himself. He's still sitting in the corner, sort of moping around, clamping every now and again. Somebody suggested that the clamping is potentially Costa. I don't believe it is on this occasion, because I did the scrape, and I've done 2 or 3 scrapes on Gary now, and it didn't come up with Costa. I had the right modifications in, etc, etc. I didn't look, but I'm going to look again. So I'm going to give Gary a bit of a salt bath this week, just to try to pick him up a little bit as a little bit of a tonic and see if that helps. The Lernex Pro, I'm told that you can redose this. It says on the packet after 14 days, but I'm told you can redose it after 7 because of the temperature. Because if you've got fluke, I think it's fluke, gill fluke, then they're the ones that produce eggs. Or is it the way around? Anyways, so they said because of the weather being quite warm at the moment, the eggs seem to hatch quicker. So potentially you can redose the Lernex Pro after 7 days. So I might have a go at that. Just do a bit of a water change, make sure everybody's nice and comfortable in there, and then maybe do another one then. So put the tower back on, because I might as well. I've not put any more water in. My trickle in is still off, my UV still off. I'm using the skimmer because I might as well. It's just skimming water through it now, because the water's all blended in, and my whole system now is full of Lernex Pro. So I'll see if I get some video of Gary, because he's looking a bit unhappy, bless him. But so, like I say, the aquarium's gone back on, everything else is as it was, but after day 3 there's been no major changes. This video will probably go over a number of days. I'll probably just do a little bit today, another little bit tomorrow, or a couple of days later, and then see how it progresses. So yeah, look at a lot of the other pond tubers are out there. If you sort of scoot through, there's a number of us now that are doing doses to get rid of fluke. There's quite a few of them using the same product that I'm putting at the moment, which is good, because that means that others are using it, and hopefully it's going to work in my pond. But I've seen no major change, because with all these fluke products, you should be a bang, hit overnight, 24 hours later, fine. But because you have to leave these running a little bit, they have to penetrate the mucus and get in, and get those flukes that are sitting in nice and comfortable under the mucus. So where did fluke come from? That's been bugging me, that has. There's been a few people asking. I've been doing a bit of reading up and asking around the same question myself. So fluke, to get into your pond, there's a number of different ways. Apparently fluke can get in your pond, and what I've found is that one way is through birds drinking at your pond, or dropping waste in your pond. Apparently they can carry fluke around in their waste. Somebody mentioned that you can get them from slugs. So if you can find a slug in your garden, you scrape it and have a look at that, you potentially could find fluke on the side of slugs as well. Interesting one. It's not so bad when you've got raised ponds like this, because obviously the slug's got to climb up the pond, go across, and apparently it's when they die, they drop off the slug when it's drowned in the water, and then the fish pick them up, and then they look for another host. So yeah, it's interesting how fluke get in the pond in the first instance. You could have them on a new fish anyway. You know, I had my new Yamabuki that came in. I know Steve does all his scrapes, and I did one as well. I didn't find any on there, so as far as I'm concerned, it didn't have any fluke when it came in. So there is a number of ways you can get them into your pond, and trying to keep them out is very difficult when you've got an open pond and you've got birds flying around, dumping in your pond and wanting to drink out of your pond. So it's kind of a difficult one, and it's an interesting one about where they come from as well. So again, if anybody else has got any ideas about where they come from, please list them below. Let's all do a bit of learning from this. Right, we're still on day 3. or 4, I can't remember now. The day or 3 after putting the Lernex Pro in. And I've just taken Gary back out. I'm trying not to keep taking him in and out the pond because he doesn't like it, but this is what it is. So I've taken him back out again, and I gave him a salt bath, 3 ounces to the gallon, just to see if it'll pick him up a little bit, give him a bit of a salt tonic, because he's the only one in there that really is having a bit of an issue at the moment. But I mean, the others still aren't swallowing the food properly. They're still sucking it in, spitting it out, sucking it in, spitting it out. Now somebody commented that if Gary's clamping, then that could be a sign of costia. So I did another scrape of Gary as well, and he did have, you know, when they get that sort of that misty mucus on him, a little bit of misty mucus on his head, and he's got this little bit of a little something on his cheek as well, where I think he's flashed against something, and so I've sort of put a little bit of treatment on that as well, just to stop it getting infected. Done a scrape, and I've spent ages. I did 3 scrapes, one side, one the other side, and one on this stuff on top of his head, just at the back here. It was this like light misty mucus, and I've done 3 samples now, and I've looked at all 3, and I've spent ages and ages at all magnifications looking for potentially costia, looking for any more fluke. There was a couple of carcasses on there, which is a result fluke. Carcasses are good. Didn't find anything else, so I'm going to continue this video over the next few days, just keep an eye on everybody really, and just seeing what's going on, and see how this treatment goes on. So let's move on to another day. Day 5. So what's happening in the pond? We're on day 5 now, and what I've found is that some of the fish seem to be improving. Sid, the Shirogoi, he's actually stopped spitting his food out now. I've just been watching him keep the food in. Looks like he's actually swallowing it rather than just taking it out and spitting it. There is still, OJ was spitting out this morning, but tonight he's eating, which is good. Gary, my goshki, bless him, he's still clamped. He's just one thing clamped, sitting in his usual corner. He seems to come out a little bit more out of that corner now and come in. I've not seen him eat for a couple of days now. As you can see, OJ is hunting for food. I've put some up in the tower to see if they'll go looking for food, and yeah, the majority of them do. Some haven't even been up in the fish tower yet. My Tancho's not been up there yet. Neither has Smudge. Smudge has not gone up there yet either. So at the moment I'm on day 5, and I'm seeing that. Now what I'm considering doing, I'm going to second dose this a little bit earlier than I said I was going to. So I'm going to look at dosing this, instead of the 14 days, I'm going to do it between 7 and 10 days after the first dose. I'm not doing this on a whim. I've been asking a few people, I've rang a few shops, rang a few experts, people that are in the business, as you might say, and they've said, yeah, sure, why not? You know, you need to do your second dose because you've got to catch the fluke with the eggs. That's great, that's fine, I've got to do that. So I'm going to second dose after 7 to 8, between 7 and 8 days. I remember on, if you remember back on my FLUKE clay, I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Don't look away. Oh, I did it then. I'm going to do a dose of that, because if you look in the instructions, it says if you have unwell fish or you want to pep the fish up a little bit, do this dose. So I'm going to do that dose and see how well that helps with the fish as well. So I can also report back on that, on how FLUKE helps with the recovery of my fish going through this long fluke period, because I think it's really getting them down. You know, I've been watching the fish every day. I go out and quickly keep an eye on them before I go work, stick some food in, then straight back from work. Sometimes I work from home, so yeah, an interesting one that I'm going to continue to keep reporting back on this, and I'm hoping this will nail it, because everybody I've talked to said, yeah, if you got this Lernex Pro, then you shouldn't really be able to go wrong on that. So let's find out. So this is day 5. Let's move on to another day. Day 7. I've turned the UV back on. I've turned my trickle-in system back on. I'm going to do a water change over the next 24 hours, and then tomorrow or the day after I'm going to do the second dose of Lernex Pro. Everybody's been saying, yeah, you might as well do it. I spoke to a number of other pond owners about it, and they said, yeah, do it. Now, what it says in the instructions is that there's a product that you should use after you've done the last dose, which is a fish protect product. It's something like, I think it's called Colombo Fish Protect, and it says you should add this after. Now, I've done a little bit of research on this and I've asked some questions about this stuff, and the majority of people have been saying you don't really need it. It's like a dechlorinator, and it just puts it helps with the layer of mucus on the fish. So it's up to you. You don't have to put it in, but obviously they're going to promote their own products. Colombo Lernex are going to promote other products to put in, and he said, yeah, it won't do any fish any harm, but I don't know, left with you. So I'm not going to put it in. I'm going to stick to my plan of dose number 2, and then going in with the larger dose of FLUKE clay after, because that has the minerals and the vitamins and all that kind of stuff in, and see if that does the business. But yeah, so I'm not going to put that product in, but I know another YouTuber is, I think, Just for Koi. I think he's going to be using it. I think I watched one of his videos the other day. He's using the Lernex Pro as well, so we're watching each other on this and seeing how each other's ponds react to Lernex Pro. It seems to be the product that everybody seems to be going for at the moment. You speak to a number of pond owners and they're saying the same thing. So he's going to use that, or he said he's going to use that Fish Protect stuff, and so we'll see how that goes, where I'm not. So we'll see what happens with that as well. So I'm going to give my filters a quick clean out tonight, and then over the next 24 hours make sure everything's prepped ready. The water change will be done. We're almost back ready for the next product to go in. Update on the fish. So the fish is an interesting one, because half of them seem to be getting a little bit better with this and the other half aren't. Half are eating, half are not. Fish are still flashing. So as far as I'm concerned, this second dose is required. It seems to be evenings when I get more of them coming to the window for food. I'm just looking at Gary now, who's still floating around with just half clamped still. And he'll come up out of his corner, but only in the evening, where others just sit in the corner, and they're still sitting under the aquarium. The pond is nowhere near right, as far as I can see. So filters are getting it cleaned, water change is going to happen, and they're going to put everything back to how it was just before the dose goes in. So UV off. I'm going to keep the skimmer on. I'm going to try to mix it a different way as well this time. I've got myself a special mixing tub that I'll show you when I show you in the next part of this video, to mix that stuff up. So we're going to get it all set up over the next couple of days, and we're going to hit them with the second dose. You can see loads of them at the window now, but they only come up in the evening. But in the daytime, I'll throw food in, nothing. 10-15 minutes later, one will pop up and have a little nibble and disappear off again. So let's go on to another day. Okay, just measured out the required amount of Lernex Pro, taking some advice from some of you guys as well on mixing it. So I've ended up going out and buying myself a special mixing jug with warm water. How do I know it's a special mixing jug? Because it says it on it. Oh, silly, never mind. So yeah, this is how I'm doing it now. And I'm going to mix this up. Had a trial run with it the other day and it worked fantastic. Straight to liquid virtually. So anyway, a little bit of warm water in my special mixing bottle. And then that will go in the pond water, we'll get it in. So as last time, UV is off, taking the filter floss out of the media bay, taking off the aquarium again, because that's 70 litres of water I'm not calculating for in my mix. UV's off, that's off, trickle in and trickle out's off. Ready to roll, let's get it in the bucket in there, get it in. Okay, second dose of Lernex Pro has been in. About 30 minutes now. Not seen any of the fish flashing this time. They seem to be a little bit more active now. They're running around in circles a little bit more, but nothing to say you know, like nothing like they did last time. I put a few tools and bits and pieces in. Put my net in the pond as well again this time. So that's having a treatment as well. I've left the skimmer running this time. As you can see, it's sort of collecting in a lot of the debris that's on the top there. But I'm not over concerned with that because I think it'll just suck it through as it gets done anyway. So I'll keep that running. Just one thing with these skimmers actually, these sort of floating skimmers. I've heard a couple of stories of people finding fish in them in the morning if you run them overnight. I sort of asked a few questions because I'd heard that these fish were, and they were dead. The fish were dead in them. And what seems to be happening is that there was food left in them from the day before, and the fish overnight are obviously smelling the food and trying to get to the food. And once they're in, I mean, these are only going to be your small fish. If you've got any small fish in one of these floating skimmers, then you've got to be a little bit careful with what you leave in them overnight. So a little bit of food left in them, the small fish smell them, in they go to get the food, can't get back out again, and then you wake up next morning and you've got a dead fish in your floating skimmer. So a little bit, I just thought I'd just point that out while we're here watching this skimmer churn away quite nicely. So there we have it, Lernex Pro, stage 2 has gone in, or second dose, whatever you want to call it, has gone in. I'm going to be so chuffed if this works. In fact, if it works, I'm going to get that brass band out again. Because I really want this to work. I just feel like I've not been able to interact with the fish, and it's been a really disappointing season for me so far. I don't know about you guys out there that maybe are having the same problems, but it feels like I can't interact with the fish because they're not interested in dealing with what they're dealing with in the pond. They're not eating very well, so I'm getting no growth in this season. It's a real difficult one this time, so like I say, if this does work, then that brass band's coming out again. I should be well impressed. We should definitely celebrate it. So let's go forward 24 hours and see how it's going. I'm trying to do a disappointed face, or I don't know. Just so disappointing. It hasn't worked. The Lernex Pro. This is just over 24 hours. It's almost like 36ish hours, something like that. And no brass bands coming out, put it that way. There's no celebrations going on because Gary is still I came up this morning, he was like this, and he's been like that for 2-3 days, just sitting in the corner, not looking good. So fish are still flashing. Did a scrape and found nothing. I even went to the 400 times magnification looking for costia. Nothing, nout, zip, zilch, and all those other languages you can think of. So yeah, I'm just a little bit disappointed at the moment that, you know, we're not there. So I'm going to have a rethink and wonder where we're going to go next. I'm considering dosing for costia. Maybe it's my microscope, I can't see anything. I spent too long wishing to see costia after a while because I was looking through the lens, couldn't see anything. You know, I haven't got a fantastic microscope, but I've got one that does the 400, which is a costia at magnification. So I really don't know. But the thing is, because Gary is as he is now, I'm wondering is it going to be a little bit too late for that guy, because he's not eaten now for at least 5 days, 4 or 5 days, just sitting in the corner. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit lost at the moment of this hobby we have that can be quite challenging at times, and I've got a major challenge on at the moment because I don't know, I've never gone this far, to be honest. I've always recognised Parasite, treated it, moved on, everybody's happy, next one comes along, treat it, everybody's happy. This time treated it, not happy, treated it, not happy, treated it, etc, etc. So it's back to the drawing board. You know what to do, folks. If you're in the same place, all you experts out there, what would you do? And on that bombshell, if you've not subscribed yet, please click the subscribe down the bottom end, click the like if you like the video, ding the bell for notifications of other videos coming out, and share to all your friends. Thanks very much for watching. This was a very disappointed and unfortunately not the right result. Quip on lifestyle.